Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of my home server slash NAS rebuild. Now if you recall, in the first video I did an unboxing of this DS380 Silverstone ITX case, which actually is an optimized ITX case for your NAS slash your server operations. And the best thing about this case is that it has 8 3.5-inch hot swappable drive bays, and which is really good. And as you recall, in my old server, I had exactly 8 3.5-inch 4 terabyte drives, which just as you can see, it's sitting here. So the idea was to actually get all of that into this compact little case, so this is actually something that it's been on the cards for quite a while. And now in the last part, I only did the unboxing and actually didn't start off with the installs. But since then, I've actually been moving all the stuff across. And then, as you'll recall, my old case was a micro ADX, whereas this is an ITX. So I actually obviously needed a new motherboard. So here's the case. As you'll recall, very nice. It's got a very nice finish, and it's and I'm sure I don't need to go through the specs again, but at the moment, it is a bit messy, as you can see, being a really compact case. And now I'll just give you a bit of a peek into where I'm at the moment. Now, I know this isn't ideal, building a computer while sitting on the floor, but this actually for me was the best place I could find, because there's a lot of stuff, and it's a really compact space. So this is the best place that I could do this. Now, as I'm sure you'll recall, I did mention that I already had a power supply, so I was actually lucky enough to get hold of this Silverstone 300 watt small form factor SFX power supply, with all the ports that I was going to require to power my motherboard and my 8 drives. Now, one problem that I did run into was the connections for the actual drives. Now, the old cable that I was using had a different. The connector was it was actually a combined power and SATA, whereas the back plate on this, as you'll see here, is it actually, so you've got your SATA, your power on the left, and then you've got separate SATA or SAS ports. So that was an issue, and this actually led the build to a halt. And then I obviously had to get, because I only had one, because I actually managed to find this other connector which was perfect and was compatible, but the other one, I actually only had one of them, so I had to get another one. And luckily, I did actually manage to get hold of one via Amazon, and they were actually kind enough to deliver it, even though it was on a public holiday. So it was on the Labor Day holiday. So that was actually really good. And now, I'll be honest, it is, as you can already see, there's lots and lots of cables, and it is really compact. And as far as these cables go, unfortunately, as you'll see at the end, once I've put everything back in, there's actually, in terms of cable management, because I've got so many drives in there, there's only so much you can do. And if I were to just take these away for now, you'll see that I have tried to keep it neat. I've done my best to sort of keep it neat and tidy, but this is sort of the best that I was able to come up with. So obviously I've just made sure that the cables weren't in the way of any of the fans. And the other thing with the CPU heatsink, I actually at the moment I didn't have any low profile heatsinks, Intel heatsinks on, so I've just decided to go with just a stock Intel fan. And by the way, I've been running this for a few days now and haven't had any issues, so I suppose for now I'll just go on with this stock Intel heatsink, and maybe further down the road I'll just get hold of like a Knock 2 low profile fan, or one of the nicer fans, heat sinks. And then as you can see, there's I've got two 16 gigs totaling 32 gigs of non-EEC memory, the Gigabyte H310 in motherboard, or it's already there, and just your standard stuff. So I'm actually going to pause this right here, and when I come back you'll see the whole thing, all the drives. I'll put the drives in, I'll put this back, I'll connect all the cables, and then you'll see the actual finished product. So yeah. Okay guys, so everything, or almost everything, is actually back in, and as you can see, unfortunately this is as neat as I could actually go with the cable management, but the good thing is that all the cables are actually out of the way of the fans and everything. So the back plate here, everything on the back plate is actually plugged in. The fans, the 220mm fans are plugged in. The power for the SATA, it's plugged in, and the other two SATA connectors and the data connectors are also they've also been plugged in. So yeah, everything's plugged in. So the last thing that I am gonna do is to put the drives back in, and with that I'll finish off this video. So here we go. It's number one. Number two. Number three. This is going to be a bit of a tight fit because there's actually cable, it might be cable obstructing. We'll come back to that later. So it's number four, number five, number six, number seven, and number 8. So this probably some being obstructed by the cables, but yeah, I'll have a look at that later. But that's pretty much it, and now all that remains is to put the cover back up, and that would be it. So here is another view. What I might do is I'll just turn the flash on. Oh, it tells me the battery's too low for the flash, but I'm actually, to be honest, I'm quite satisfied with what I've done with the cable management here. Especially given the fact there's 8 drives in there with a ton of cabling. Actually, I think it's not a bad result that I've got here. Here's another view, and here's a back view of the case with the motherboard and the PSU. Here's the RAID card and the 220mm fans right there. Okay guys, so here we have the finished product. which is actually hooked up to my TV. And so what I'm gonna do now is power it up to sort of show you guys what it looks like. So I've got my ESXi USB plugged in, and you've got the power cord. The Wi-Fi antenna is plugged in, but obviously it's not being used at this point in time, and the HDMI cable. So this actually, the idea behind this build was also to see whether, you know, maybe further down the line I could actually keep, because as you can see, it's actually very sleek, it's silent, and sort of, you know, smaller footprint, non-invasive type form factor. And maybe, you know, who knows, down the future, I doubt that it's actually going to fit into one of those cupboards, but maybe further down the line I might actually end up moving the server slash NAS, just maybe put it next to my TV. So, but obviously that I'll see to it later. So here we go. Now we got our power button right here. So I'm gonna just press that now, and you'll see nothing fancy is gonna happen. A lot of a whole bunch of, you know, a RAID config and ESXi is just gonna go through. So here we go. Now there you go. Already I can see on the TV it's picking something up. So, and yeah, here's the in the background. As soon as that HDMI thing goes away, we can see the RAID card is just kicking in. It's loading up the drives. And as to what's happening here, down here, the fans are spinning. And one cool thing about this case is I actually noticed that as soon as the hard drives kick in, the activity lights, so each and every single bay has its own little LED that sort of flashes as, you know, there's activity. That's actually kind of cool. So yeah, I'll put that back on. So yeah, this fan's definitely spinning. Kind of cool to look at, but need to be careful not to put your finger in there. So yeah, I'll put this back. And the front end, all the drives are now plugged in. So, and there we go. So the motherboard logo is popped up. It's loading the ESXi as we speak. And then while it's doing that, I'll just show you. Okay, and all the drives are back in. You've got your two USB 3.0 ports up front, and they're actually really handy in case you want to plug in your wireless keyboard or mouse. Not much else going on here. And just close it, and then here you've got so the ESXi is loading up. As you can see, Core i7 6700, 32 gigs of RAM. This one, the MegaRAID.SAS, sorry, that I'm assuming that's the SAS RAID driver, so that does take a bit. So I might just pause it here for a bit, and then I'll come back once everything's loaded. Okay guys, so the ESXi is loaded. As you can see, you know, I've got my static IPs, IPv6. I did turn it off. I don't know why it's still there. It shouldn't be there, but anyways, got your Core i7 6700T, 32 gigs of RAM, and I'm just gonna do a quick test, network test, to see if it can talk to the router and my network. So there it is, and task management network. So that's my gateway. Just gonna ping my gateway, and as you can see, it came back okay. So all good. So there we go, guys. That sort of concludes this whole project and build. I'm actually really happy with what I've achieved here, as you can see. And the other good thing about this is you can actually, it's really, you know, easily can be transported quite easily, especially if, you know, if you're moving houses quite frequently. You know, it's also good for that. Or maybe if you want to, you know, take it temporarily, move it a different location, It's also can be really good for that, really compact. Now, the thing is, guys, I'll also put a list of all the components that I've actually used in this build, but just letting you know, I mean, as you know, DDR4, it's non-ECCs, quite easy to get, and even ITX, I actually, to be honest, I did had a hard time, trying to get hold of a second-hand ITX motherboard that would support the 6th gen Core i7, but by far the most difficult component here to track would be the Core i7 6700T, because it's just like a normal Core i7 but with a smaller TDP of only 35 watt, which obviously is really useful. Keeps the bills down, and it's really good for 24/7 operation. I've had this chip for almost 2 years now and never had any issues. Power bills does keep the power bills down. Now, and with that, guys, that concludes the whole build. Hope you liked the video, and I can sort of understand, and I'm aware that this isn't as sophisticated as some of the other builds you might have seen on YouTube, but I still thought it'll be good for me to actually share this whole experience with you guys. Now, please do stay tuned, because I'm actually going to show you guys, if you're interested, how to build a NAS server or a sort of home server, especially for sharing your media for close to nothing. So by using components which you all might already have sitting around. Because the thing is, a NAS doesn't actually have to be a really expensive affair like this one. Now, just the rebuild alone, without the drives, actually, it's ended up costing me close to 500 Australian dollars. So again, it doesn't have to be that expensive. I mean, you can actually build a cheap NAS out of pretty much, all you need is a hard drive and just your router. So I'll show you guys how to build a really cheap NAS if you're only interested in sharing your media, accessing your media across multiple devices. So please do stay tuned for that. And and if you got any constructive feedback, or if you got any requests, please do share, put them in the comment section, and I'll see you on the next one. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and please stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much.